Hello everyone, this is Neurotics and I am doing another tutorial for ExtremeHardware.net. Today's tutorial is how to tweak Linux Mint for speed. So we're going to be doing a couple of things. And we're going to be using a site. If you Google Easy Linux Tips Project, there is some scholar and gentleman who has put together a very, very long collection of tips and tricks and changes that you can do for Linux. I've gone through them and narrowed them down to just the best or most necessary ones. But if you want to go to the site, you can look through, and there's just like tons and tons of tweaks that he has that you can do. So we're going to be doing a couple things. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to do sudo swap off -a. Enter our password. Swap obviously is extra disk space that you when you run out of memory, when you run out of RAM, it then starts using the disk space. This virtual machine has 32 gigabytes of RAM dedicated to it. It is never ever, it's currently using like 1.4 gigabytes of RAM. This is never going to go over the 32 gigabyte uh, that is allocated to it. So we're going to turn our swap file off. If you're on an old laptop using this and it's got like 4 gigs RAM or 8 gigs RAM, leave swap on. But otherwise, if you have a modern setup and you're running Windows on a current or near current machine and you have 32 gigs of memory or more, you don't need swap on. So we're turning that off. The next thing we're going to do is go to our file browser and we're going to lock our bash history. So if you hit Control H, that's how you can see hidden files in Linux. So we're going to go to bash history dot bash underscore history and open it. And as you can see, it shows a log of all the terminal commands that I've entered. So I'm going to delete them and save the file. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and go to Properties, Permissions, Read Only for everything, and then Close. And now you'll see it has a lock symbol on it. And now if we do, say, CD videos, ls, there's nothing in the directory, but that's enough. Now if we look at this and open it, it's not showing the commands that we just put into the terminal. So now you have a little more privacy that way. And then when you're done, you can hit Control H again and go back to just not showing hidden files. So we don't need that anymore. So what we're going to do now is this right here. I'm using Cinnamon as my window manager to disable visual compositing, which will speed the system up because it's not doing 3D stuff, and especially I'm in a virtual machine with no 3D acceleration. Menu button, preferences, effects. Menu button, preferences, effects. Turn it all off. Now this. Menu button, preferences, window tiling. Window tiling. Disable. Finally, you might disable compositing, cause screen tearing while going through a web page or watching videos. I'm going to just leave that alone. So there's one from this site that we've done. The next section will be the SSD. There's a lot of tweaks here for solid state drives. So we're going to do number 6. Set the automatic trim job to daily. So it usually does it weekly. Really, you can read through this stuff if you want, but he just makes it so all you have to do is copy and paste terminal commands. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to do it again, another one. And then Alright, and then we need to copy paste this stuff into the text file, save it, close it, and confirm if it's actually worked. It looks like it's still set to weekly. Okay. So maybe that one won't work, but um, it's showing at the bottom of his that the change that we made in the file, the timer, uh, on calendar and on calendar and on calendar daily that we just made for his output was showing up at the bottom, but not here. That's weird. I'll have to look into that. Maybe it will work on your system. Maybe it's not working because I'm in a virtual machine. Anyway, the next tweak I'm going to show you how to do, but I can't actually show you the program itself. So what we're going to do is sudo apt install CPU power CPU power -GUI. It's already installed on my machine. Now what this will do after you do that and it installs it, you're going to run CPU power -GUI, and you're going to get a little tiny window that will allow you to change your power performance preference. So you can change it from schedutil to performance, or you can change it from power save to performance. So it's like power profiles in Windows. So that will work on a real install. Program does not work in my virtual machine. Now what we're going to do is number 4. I think let's go back to the home page and go to his 15 tweaks part 1 and go to section 4. Section 4, make the system quieter and faster. We already did that. Okay. Next would be 19. Next tweak is 19. Increase your disk space by limiting the reserve space for root. That's nice, especially in a 40 gigabyte virtual machine. So, launch a terminal window and enter just one command. And then you should be done. You will have to change this to whatever your root file system is. I'm actually going to check real quick with I don't have it apparently. I want one of these to actually work in my virtual machine. So now we're going to go to administration, gparted, mint. Okay, we'll figure out what my mount point is. So the drive is dev SDA. That's what we want. And again, it's not working for me. However, maybe it'll work for you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to update and configure time shift. First, before you ever do any updates here in the update manager, you're going to want to configure time shift. And so to do that, you go to preferences, I believe. No, administration, time shift. What time shift is system restore for Linux. So it's basically system restore. You can make a restore point, um, and you can create a snapshot of your system. Um, I would do this now, except that it takes quite a long time when you do it at first. So instead, I'm going to show you how to use an update manager. Update manager couldn't be more easy to use. Um, uh, you just click the shield in your system tray on the bottom right by the clock, and we're going to install updates. So it is going to need your password to do so, which I typed wrong. So a lot of these tweaks that didn't work in my virtual machine actually worked on my Linux Mint partition on my actual rig, on my install. Um, VirtualBox leaves a lot to be desired compared to VMware with GPU pass-through as well as other virtualization solutions. It's free though, so that's nice. VirtualBox is free. So it is going to download and then update. You'll see how much faster this is and more efficient it is than Windows Update. It actually shows you what it's doing at any given moment. It is going to configure all of the software and install it. And it will actually use like all of your cores to do so. I can hear the fans in my rig ramping up. But with time shift, you basically just click create and it will make a system snapshot. Then if you mess your Linux up, tweaking it or doing something with the Easy Linux Temps project, if you mess your system up real bad and it won't boot or something, what you can do is you can go in Grub, which is where you pick your operating system, and instead of just loading Linux, you can click load Linux advanced options, and then under advanced options, a it'll load something up that has multiple options available, including a terminal, but there is a thing for time shift, and then you can restore from a backup. So it's a good idea to keep at least two system snapshots uh, with time shift. But I think that is everything that I wanted to show. Unfortunately, some of the stuff didn't work. The tweaks that I did from that site didn't work. But I will just remember it's Easy Linux Tips project, and it is targeted specifically at Linux Mint. So if you want to, if I just scroll through all this stuff that this guy has, all these guides, it's just incredible, and it makes things uh, easier for people who are new to Linux to be able to tweak and speed up their system. So with that, I think that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you were able to tweak your Linux Mint. Check out some of the other things you can do on that page, and you might want to do some of those. You can make things very secure if you want. For example, prevent the kernels from being updated when you run Update Manager, things like that. So, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'm done.